the way that you, um,
Right.
make yourself strong.
Right, ma'am. Thank you. Once again, all the participants, you are welcome to ask questions at the end when we'll open the floor. We'll just start the program in 5 minutes. It's 2:55.
Awesome. So what I will do is go and have a glass of water before I start. Can I do that? Yeah.
Namaskar, madam. Meghna, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can. You are perfectly audible. Sir.
Rashmi ji, namaskar.
Namaskar ji. Namaskar ji.
Namaskar.
Thank you for inviting me.
And after a long gap, we are meeting on this online platform.
I know,
And
but
unfortunately, we could not call you in person.
I know.
And Professor Madhurma Lal is my colleague in the Department of Applied Economics. She is at present coordinator and convener of Mission Shakti program, and this is her privilege that she is organizing such type of programs in each and every department, and in almost 2 departments every day. She is organizing.
Wow.
Just by 2, the program in the Department of Chemistry has finished, and she does to our department, I think, and join us. Meghna, now I think time is to start.
Sure, sir. You can start. So, it's an honor and privilege for me to welcome all of you on behalf of the Department of Statistics, University of Lucknow, to this interactive webinar on Mahila Suraksha, Vyakhyan, Paramarsh Satra, Martial Art Ka Prashikshan, that is women's safety, lectures, counseling sessions, and martial arts training, which has been organized in lieu of Mission Shakti Phase 4, launched by the government of Uttar Pradesh. I am honored to welcome all the distinguished guest speakers, faculties, and students from all parts of the country. We have spent decades talking about the importance of gender equality. And while we talk, the situation of women and girls in our country and state, it is at risk of further deterioration. We have with us Professor Rajiv Pandey, sir, head of the Department of Statistics and Dean Research, University of Lucknow, who is committed to bring about a change in this situation. And sir, I would like you to speak to our young audience about this.
Okay, thank you, Meghna. It is an honor and privilege for me to welcome you on behalf of the Department of Statistics, University of Lucknow, to this interactive webinar on women safety, lectures, counseling sessions, and martial art training, which has been organized in lieu of Mission Shakti launched by the government of Uttar Pradesh for women security with the hope of guaranteeing respect and safety to every woman of Uttar Pradesh. I wish to extend my deep appreciation to the government of Uttar Pradesh and as well as the administration of the University of Lucknow, especially our Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir and Professor uh, Madhurma Lal ji, convener of Mission Shakti, for promoting gender equality and the empowerment of women. Thank you all for being here for today's important discussion. Thank you once again for continuing to demonstrate your commitment to this issue. We have discussed at length in previous sessions the importance of responding to the specific needs of women and children in humanitarian crisis and the dire circumstances many of them find themselves in. We are privileged to have in attendance so many distinguished experts and resource persons as well as observers. You are likely, you are all leaders in this field. And I am fully confident that your knowledge, your experience, your expertise will provide important insights on strengthening national mechanisms as a means of promoting gender equality and the empowerment of women. I am delighted to welcome our distinguished guest speakers. I thank the experts for accepting our invitation at such short notice and taking out time from their active schedules. Our guest for today is Ms. Rasmi Anand, who represent a variety of national mechanisms, women's commissions, research institutions, women awardees, and non-governmental organizations. We know where we need to go, and we know why we need to go to get there. We need to help us to identify that how which strategies we need to put in place for a gender responsive implementation of Mission Shakti program. In the end, I would like just quote Eleanor Roosevelt, what he said that where after all, where do universal human rights begins? In small places close to home, so close and so small that they cannot be seen on any maps of the world. Yet they are the world of the individual person, the neighborhood he lives in, the school and college he attends, the factory, the farm, or office where he works. Such are the places where every man, woman, and child seek equal justice, equal opportunity, equal dignity without discrimination. Unless these rights have meaning there, they have little meaning anywhere. Without concerned citizen action to uphold them close to home, we shall look in vain for progress in the larger world. I would now like to leave the audience with the provoking thought that change in leadership will be visible when we have women across all sections of society experience equal progress and freedom, not limited to educated, upper class or upper class women. Thank you once again, and over to Meghna to continue the.
Thank you so much, sir, for such encouraging words. For the audience, as a statistics student, I wish to bring this to everyone's attention that while women are central to community resilience and spend 90% of their income on the family, data demonstrates that women are more reliant on humanitarian assistance than men due to barriers they face in accessing income generating opportunities. We've seen commitments from the government to address this issue, and national institutions, governmental and non governmental, are taking the lead in providing shelter and relief for women and girls at risk and surviving gender based violence. We have with us Professor Madhurima Lal, who is one such person who has taken a lead in making people aware about the situation, especially in the university. Ma'am, we would love to hear your opinion on this today.
Thank you, dear. Thank you so much. And before I start with my deliberation, I would express my gratitude to the head of the department, Rajiv Pandey sir. I have seen that whenever he does anything, he does it with the core of the heart, the soul. And therefore, I learned a lot how to do things when people say that you are doing it meticulously, because I just follow sir and people like sir, those who they are my motivation, and how to do things and in what soul and brain you have to do that. So today also such a lovely program that sir has initiated, and I could remember last time also when we get people like Rajiv sir, we get motivated, and then we are at last able to do something. So whenever it is a mission Shakti, or whenever it is a point of gender equalization, my experience has been very good, because I have people around me who has been always very supportive and very meticulously doing things. So we don't have as such more of the problems to do anything and to do it successfully. As you all know that Mission Shakti is a brainchild of our Honorable Chief Minister. And in 2020, in Navratri, he started with this plan, and very meticulously, after crossing through the different phases, we have now entered into the fourth phase. And with the cooperation of all of you, in the third phase, we have got the overwhelming records. Like we already had more than 6,000 students participation in the Mission Shakti program, though that was a Corona period. Despite that, the participation was so large, and it is all on the website with proper documentation being done, so anyone can refer to it. And then we had more than 1,000 experts with us, and we had more than 150 activities being done for Mission Shakti. That is the game, and that is the show, that is the superbity that Lucknow University could have, because we are doing it under the dynamic leadership of our dynamic Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Alok Kumar Raiji. And that today in this sequential programs, today, of course, it is Department of Statistics. As always, I could see that you have very nicely arranged Mission Shakti program. In Lucknow University, since I am catering to the students who have turned into an asset because they are the literate one. Half of the problems of Indian economy will solve if we get the literacy rate a bit higher. So I am just catering to those people who are already an asset, the students. And it is my pleasure, and always I am so proud of the fact that whenever I visit a department or anywhere, I could see the equal participation of both boys and girls. So we are aware. We know that how do we have to exist and how do we have to plan ourselves. It's only certain things that I have prioritized to convey the programs, instead of having all the entire program in just this 4 months time, because mission is always time bounded. So in this 4 months time, instead of conveying the entire such a large huge agenda, I had categorized into just 3 major things. That was, one is the about your body, the most important thing, the health. So in most of the sequence, we are concentrating on health. And then the second most important thing is security. Today, we are having an expert who herself is Shakti. And I could see that why do we go for seeking Shakti? We ourselves are Shakti, and there are so many leaders who to whom the people, even the gents, go for seeking security. So we are providing security, and today's expert herself is a mission for ourselves. She will be, of course, guiding us on this point. And the third major point is self-employment or financial security. So if these 3 main categories I'm able to convey to our students, I think we will be doing a lot, instead of having huge and a very long and lengthy agenda and finally going to nothing. I felt that we must just cut short it and categorize into something which is substantial. And these are the 3 main objectives that I'm carrying on Lucknow University platform, and we are having, and I will invite all the students to join each and every program of ours. And in case you are able to do that, I promise you at the end, nothing else will be more required, because you will be fully equipped and fully you will be knowing it as to what Mission Shakti is and what you require. So instead of telling you the details of the programs, you are so well aware, you put into Google and all the policies are there. If you would love to listen to our expert, to have enlightened ourselves, I'm so grateful to the expert today for giving her time for Mission Shakti program. Once again, I express my gratitude to the head of the department, Rajiv Pandey sir. I am always looking forward to see him, to follow him, to learn a lot from him, and I keep a watch on him, how he really does things, and I would love to do and try. I also try to do that, and that is why I'm able to make a bit of my contribution to whatever I can do. And the entire lovely colleagues in Department of Statistics and dear students, I welcome you all on behalf of Mission Shakti. May God bless you all, and I would love to listen to our expert. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. All of that, all of what you've said is so true. And now, like the Department of Statistics especially believes that only dialogue is not the only course of action. And thus, we have a guest with us who has worked for women's rights and has set up examples that are an inspiration. 18 years ago, Ms. Rashmi Anand walked away from a violent, abusive marriage with two small children, a 9-year-old who had become quiet and withdrawn, and a 5-year-old who had stopped speaking completely from trauma. She came out without any financial support whatsoever. But today, she's an author, counselor, and social worker. She works today with the very issues that devastated the lives of her children and her, issues of gender and domestic violence. She has voluntarily counseled thousands of women at the Crime Against Women Cell of Delhi Police at Nanakpura, New Delhi, over a period of 5 years. The Delhi Police 2010 calendar was based on her first book and on her life. Rashmi ji has prepared two widely acclaimed ready reference booklets for the Special Police Unit for Women and Children, New Delhi, which are on women and child laws and their rights, as well as the duties of societies towards them. The published author of 13 books on gender violence, love, abundance, joy, hope, the human spirit, life, and death. Rashmi ji also writes children books. She runs the Women of the Elements Trust that gives free legal aid to women and children, child victims of violence who are below the earning capacity of rupees 5,000. She coordinates with shelter homes, most especially the All India Women's Conference, to rehabilitate women, get them a roof and food, to help them develop skills through vocational training. She gives talks in schools on good touch, bad touch, from children aged 6 upwards. She also gives talks and lectures at schools, colleges, and universities on gender issues, joy, abundance, positivity, duties and responsibilities, as well as on acceptance and inclusion. She goes on to give talks and lectures at corporate houses on the human spirit and awareness sessions on the sexual harassment at the workplace law with the wider perspective of decorum, dignity, and decency. She's also on the internal complaints committee of corporate houses so as to carry forward the sexual harassment and workplace law. She works on policy, awareness, and other mandatory compliances under this law. The companies she has worked with are Sterlite Technologies, Jindal Stainless Limited, Bajaj Capital, Select City Walk Mall, JBJ Technologies, NGO Can Kids, Select Hotels Limited, and the list goes on. She also gives inspirational talks on her life, on breaking through, and on the human spirit. She has worked with Catholic bishop conferences of the church on women's issues. She has been a speaker of the Circle of the Divine Feminine at a conference at Jaipur held by the Global Peace Initiative of Women, New York. The conference was a congregation of 350 global and women leaders and spiritual leaders from across the world. She has been on an advisory committee on domestic violence, the other members of which include the representatives of UN Women, National Commission for Women, USAID, Special Branch of Delhi Police, and the International Center for Research on Women. She's also been a resource person for a workshop on the implementation of gender guidelines in distance education from the Canada-based Commonwealth of Learning at the National Indian Open School. Rashmi ji initiated a project with the West District of Delhi Police called Bandhu, which works to cement relationships between police and the community, most especially the marginalized, women and children from lower income areas. The list does not end here. Rashmi ji is the recipient of the Nari Shakti Puraskar from the President of India, the Nirja Bhanot Award, the Karamveer Jyoti, the Karamveer Puraskar, the Karamveer Maharatna Award, Doordarshan Women Achiever Award of Adi Abadi Baat Nari Ki, the CNN IBN Zindagi Live Award, the Bharat Excellence Award, the Indian Women Achievers Award, the Award for Literature from the Indian Council for Human Relations, the Champion Trophy of UK based We Are the City. She has been facilitated as a Karma Yogi at the Discourse of Karma Yoga of the Bhagavad Gita by the Chinmay Mission Worldwide Head, Swami Tejomayananda. She has been facilitated by the Kalam Center for Social Impact. She has also been facilitated by the Chief of Naval Staff as a woman achiever. Ma'am has been on social awareness shows of CNN IPN, NDTV Salam Zindagi, Doordarshan, Rajya Sabha TV, Lok Sabha TV, and on Satyamev Jayate, which I have seen. Article documentaries have been done with her on issues and on her life across the world. She has been featured in the book Women of Pure Wonder and a special edition from Vodafone and Roli Books that showcases the life and works of 50 extraordinary women of India. Ma'am, I cannot even express how privileged and honored we are with you. Please come forward, and the students would like to hear from you.
Thank you so much for your introduction, and Professor Pandey, thank you for inviting me again. It's such an honor and such a privilege to be with you. And Dr. Madhurima, it was lovely to hear about how you're carrying forward, Mission Shakti. We all speak of Shakti, and we all speak of, we go and Shakti is energy. And I believe that we are all beings of energy. And when we raise our energies to actually serve other people, I think that is when we become powerful. Power is not about anything else but service. And I think you exemplify that. And thank you, Meghna, always for being so positive and calling me and inviting me and speaking so wonderfully. Thank you. So, my external journey is what Meghna spoke of just now. And I thought today I'll take it a little into a different tangent, because I sat at the crime women's cell for 5 years, as Meghna told you. And, in Delhi Police, we have ongoing sessions which are on self-defense. So wherever there are 10 or more women, Delhi Police gives them training in self-defense and martial arts. And it's phenomenal, because anywhere into colleges, universities, they go from place to place trying to help women. So when I sat at the Crime Against Women cell, it was wonderful. I mean, so many thousands of women came to me because the time span was so long. And some I could help, some I could not. While I was sitting there, I realized that we women, when we are undergoing problems, we require two things. One is internal fortification, and one is external fortification. So when we talk about external fortification, it is the law, it is the judiciary, it is police, and it is all of these systems that we put into place so that women may be helped. When I sat at the Crime Against Women cell, it was very nice to give women hope. Bete, sab theek ho jayega. Ghabrao mat, chinta mat karo. You call people, you try and join together families, you do everything. But at the end of 5 years, there was still a vacuum in me. I sat there from 2009 to 2013. But in 2012, I started feeling that there is more to give women than just hope, right? So I started my trust, which was the Woman of the Elements Trust. I sit now at Saket District Court. I'm not a lawyer, but like I always say, I fought a lawyer. My ex-husband was a lawyer. So in fighting that, I learned how to fight, and I learned how to fight for others because I could not fight with the law myself. I did not simply have the capacity to fight. So my trust now gives free legal aid to women and child victims of violence. And when I started this, it was with the sole means that not only do you have to give women the hope to carry on, but you also have to give them the weapons to fight. So somewhere, if I look at the things that I do, I'm only one person. But even in that one person, the amount of things that I can do, it's not as if I'm any different from any other woman. We all have the same power. We all have Shakti. We are all a mission in progress, and it's not as if I'm the only one who can do these things. Every woman can do it. Every man can also do it. Essentially, like I said before, we are all beings of energy, and we just have to raise that energy. So if I look in retrospect at my own journey, what was it that made me fight later and come out the way that I did with 2 children, no support? I had 2 children earlier also. I had no support earlier also. But what made me fight later? It was when my son stopped speaking, and because of the violence that he saw, that awoke me to the fact that if I do not get out now, my son is going to remain like this forever. And that was something I could not accept. So I moved out. I fought to survive. I could not fight legally. However, when I look back, I'm still the same person that I was when I was in my marriage. And I'm still the same person that I am today who does 1,000 things. What's the difference? The difference is my mind. When we talk about Shakti or we talk about power, we forget that, if you look at our ancient scriptures, if you look at anything, any spiritual scripture, it talks about the mind being the greatest weapon of all. Our mind, if it comes under our control, that is the way that we go on, and that is the way to actually do the things that you want to do in this world. So, when my son went through so many problems, over time, I used to always teach him, and I would teach my daughter, that understand the power of your mind. Your body can be healed by your mind. You have that kind of power, but your mind can never be healed by your body. So understand that positivity and that power and strength of your own mind. The one thing that I realized that I as a woman have, which is my greatest power and which will carry me forward, is, it is our greatest strength and our greatest weakness. There is a word in Hindi called dhairya. Dhairya is the ability to, it's fortitude. It's the ability to withstand. We women, we withstand so much. There is great positivity in the amount that we physically can withstand, the kind of pain that we go through with childbirth. I think if men had to go through that pain, we wouldn't have too many children in this world. But we withstand that pain. But because of this dhairya, ye jo dhairya hum mein hai, we also have a tendency to take too much of the negativity that we should not be taking. We are like the earth, and we continue just like the earth keeps on, taking and taking all that is given to her. Look what we've done to this world today. And just as the earth has withstood so much, but at some point in time, the earth will also hit back. And that is when tsunamis happen. When we women rise, that is also a tsunami in itself. But somewhere I also believe that when we rise, our tears have healing powers and we heal the world even if we suffer. So along with Dhairya, what are the other weapons of our mind? So I thought a lot about, when you called me, that about self-sustenance. What is it? So you remember the last time also I read from my book. So I thought that I will take advantage of your patience and read again, and then we can discuss it, right? So when we talk about being women, we forget our power. We forget our Shakti. It's not that it doesn't always exist within us, but we just forget it. So what is that power? It is our spirit. It is the fire inside of us, right? So what is it? My eyes are pools of lava. I burn forthright. I will always take towards the truth. I will always guide towards the light. I have an inherent sense of justice. I am vehement, yet correct. All my fury, all my wrath, at wrong do I direct. Anger smolders in me, quick to rage am I. In me burn flames of ruthlessness. In a flash, I can destroy. I can get incensed with anger. I can burn all within sight. But with all the fire at my core, I'm tempered by what's right. Now, if we keep to our sense of balance and truth and justice, that is a power of the mind that we can really work towards and bring positivity from. So that's one weapon of truth and justice. The show that you talked about, Meghna, it was Satyameva Jayate. Ultimately, we have to know that Satyameva Jayate. It is, the truth will come out. Yes, we suffer. Yes, we go through what we go through. But our dhairya, our fortitude, our strength, our power, our truth, and our inherent justice will take us forward. So that is a weapon that we hold, that is so much inside of us and holds power. What is the next, weapon that we have? I am the soft sweetness of the moon, the gentle radiant light, enkindling a glimmering glow in the darkness of the night. When pain and sorrow, grief and hurt, anguish and heartache abound, somewhere I send a small silver sliver and light the darkness around. No matter how distant my life, I still grant strength to cope. For gently, softly, unceasingly, I enkindle hope. Fire, fire, woman, it's hope. When we have hope inside of us, I feel that is another weapon. Not all weapons are those that kill. Not all weapons are those that harm. The weapons that sustain us are also weapons, right? So that is one. Another thing, another great weapon. So if you look at all, even in our culture, the people whom we revere, the people who we hold in high esteem are those who are truly free in the mind. That freedom of the mind is another weapon. My power knows no bounds. I make things happen. None can stay the way they were once I have touched and left them. I am power. Hold my sway. I give my power to none. I control my raging life. Any binding do I shun. One of, I think, the greatest things to understand is the power of the mind. Your mind is what holds you together. Your mind is what holds this world around you together. Your control of your mind leads to the control of the situations around you. It's not easy to fight alone. And you will always be helped if you are on the path of truth. The path of truth will always give you a more difficult journey. Understand that, know that, but also understand that you will be carried by that truth. Ask for help, seek help, but give your power to nobody else. Control yourself, and you will have control over everything. And, we don't understand how we as Shakti, or Shakti itself, goes into us and then becomes us. Silent in my ways I am. I influence, give impetus to act. I am the vital spirit that moves and passes through all things and keeps this world intact. I am constancy and firmness, the greatest power there has ever been. You may wield your swords, display your strengths. I pervade minds, silently, unseen. We are like air. We go into minds and we control those minds. We don't understand how much we can do to this world simply by the power of mind. So when we talk about external fortification, we talk about, again, like I said, laws and justice and rules. But the true weapon that we hold, I think the greatest martial art is in between our two ears. And I think that is what I would wish on every woman, or wish for every woman, that understand the power of your mind and understand how far it can take you. Our ancients knew these truths. They were rooted to the ground, they were rooted to the elements, and the element of air is the element of mind. It's everywhere. You can't see it, but it controls everything. Without that power, you don't have any breath. So we just need to understand the power of the mind. And I think we can just, be who we are and serve, and that is all that this world needs from us. So is there anything that anyone would like to ask me? Anything at all?
I'll just open the floor for questions. Participants, you can unmute yourselves, and if you have any queries or if you want to talk to ma'am, you are free to do so right now. Just do it one by one. We also have our faculties from the Department of Statistics with us.
Happily.
Sir, Rohini, Dr. Rohini ma'am, Shashi Bhushan sir.
Okay, while people are thinking or whatever, I'd like to say one thing, you spoke about my journey. But one thing that I have, that is a gap over there is where my children are today. So I'm so proud of that. So please, can you, allow me, and I will tell you about my children. So here was,
The floor is all yours.
okay. So here was this 9-year-old daughter of mine. She was brilliant, but she was very quiet. She'd become quiet because there was so much that had happened around her. And here I'd left, and there was, survival issues that we had to take care of. There was no money. There were times I didn't know where my electricity bill, where anything was coming from. Yes, I had a roof over my head, which is more than most women have. So here was this, brilliant little child, but so quiet and insecure. And she went on slowly. I asked for help, for even my school fees later. I sold off gold to survive initially. And then when the gold finished, I went to the school, and the owner of the school, Mrs. Bharat Ram, the Sri Ram school, I told her I can't do anything. And how will I pay for my children's fees? And she said, these are my children, I'm going to do it. So my daughter went on to, she came in the top 1% in the class 12 board. She went on She got the Shevening Scholarship from the British government, did her master's in gender studies in London, came back, was the youngest ever consultant to the government of India in the Ministry of Women and Child. And now she's working on gender issues and various other advocacy and other issues. And my son, who'd stopped speaking so completely that he had to be put into a center for children with learning disabilities, not because he had learning disabilities, but because there was so much trauma in him. He went on to complete his schooling through Sri Ram, of course, but through the open schooling, and then got into Ambedkar University of Delhi, did history honors, 6 academic scholarships, did his master's in gender studies, and now works with me on my trust and on gender issues and gender rights. So when we talk about Shakti, or, there's such immense Shakti inside of us. There's so much inside of us that is lingering there. And sometimes I laugh that, things have to be beaten out of me. Otherwise, where would I have been? I wouldn't even have known who I am. And in so many ways, I feel that, all those who didn't help or who were supposed to help me and didn't do it, they were actually the teachers of my life. And today, when I look back, I thank them for this journey. Yes, one life went a little haywire at a certain time, but the thousands and thousands of lives that got benefited, I thank those who gave me that sorrow, that I was able to do these things. So I think Shakti is also the ability to understand that your journey has to go on no matter what. Whatever are the obstacles in our way, you have to go on. And each one of us has come here for a purpose. Like all of the academicians on this panel and everywhere, you've come here to teach because nobody else can do the things that you do. Each one of us who is sitting here has a mission to fulfill, and nobody can, this world would be incomplete without each one of us. We've all come for a different purpose. And the sum total of all our energies is what makes up this world. So to understand, that ability that we have, that today we see so much that is happening in the world that is negative, that is sorrowing and creating sorrow. But if we join our forces together, join our energies together and work for the betterment of everybody, I think that is truly Mission Shakti. So, sorry, I went off at a tangent thing. Now tell me.
That is so beautiful,
Ma'am, some of my young faculties or some research scholars are there.
Yes.
And may I request you that regarding your journey, that what you have passed, how you survived there in that situation. So I just this is my humble submission that to share some few lines on that issues, that what you have really what happened with you in the past, really to my young colleagues, so that they may learn about all such things.
Yes, of course. So my background was that I came from a very affluent family in Calcutta. I was born and brought up in Calcutta, schools, colleges. I'd never taken a bus or any public transport during my education. There was always a car and driver, and after 8:30, if I was working, I joined much to the annoyance of my father. I took up a job in advertising, and I was in the creative side. And I remember that it was a big joke in our house, because, or in my office, I was to work in an advertising agency called Clarion. And it was a big joke over there that if Rashmi has to work late, at 8 o'clock, her brother will turn into a pumpkin because Cinderella has to go home at 8 o'clock. So, even the car and driver was there. My brother had to come with the car and pick me up in the other car. It was like that. I'd never picked up a glass of water on my own. And from that kind of background, I came to Delhi and I got married in Delhi. And it was a total culture shock for me. The language, the way that people spoke, it was totally different in that house. And there was so much violence. The violence was so bad. My arm has been broken. My face has been smashed in. During my pregnancy with my daughter, when I was pregnant, I was thrown down from the first floor onto the ground floor, down the stairs. I almost lost her. I don't know how she survived. She was born a premature baby with a growth deficit in the womb. And by the time my son came, then I tried to leave one time. And that time there was only my daughter. When I left, my father sent me back. My father and my brother did not offer me any support. And they said, whatever happens, you go back. And my mother could only cry. She, the house in Calcutta was in her name, but she couldn't do anything for me. She was not allowed. So I was sent back. When my husband realized that I had no support from my father and brother, the violence got worse. And he told me that, nobody took you back with one child. So I had another child. And by the time that he came, the violence was so bad that I was on 9 months bed rest with my son. He was born normal, but slowly, seeing what was happening to me, he completely went into his own shell. And he stopped speaking. He would, talk to himself. He went into his own world. And it was very, very difficult. That's why I always, the Bandhu program that Meghna talked about in West Delhi, I started that with Delhi Police. I'm just started replicating that program in Hisar in Haryana, where I go into different villages and I give these talks and lectures. Not only am I dealing with women and girls over there and giving talks and lectures there, but also pre-adolescent boys. We talk about drugs, alcohol, we talk about many issues such as women violence. And I'm also talking to the men, the grown up and the older men over there. So that, change and violence, change doesn't come, change is a process. We're always in the flux of change, right? It's how we drive that change that matters. When I was in my marriage, I did not have the ability to understand what I was capable of doing. Maybe at some point in time, maybe earlier I would have walked out, maybe not. But this was perhaps meant to be my journey, and my learning of life came from there. But I wouldn't wish that on anybody, So the violence was really, really bad. But it helped me understand a lot of things. Did I answer your question, Professor Pandey?
I just reminded that whatever you told your story last time, I was very perturbed on that very night. And I shared all those things to my dear colleagues and other faculty members of and nearest and dearest friend. And I shared a lot of things. Whatever, what happens with you, and you have become a soul power, or just like a Shakti. So that's why some young faculties and some young students, some research research students of my department are eager to know that how you started this Shakti and how you did this object. That's why I requested you.
Yes.
Sorry for
No, not at all. So, in fact, it was only when my son stopped speaking, like I said, that I decided that I have to get out. I don't have a choice, right? That point in time, we had this, this house, a small little flat in Delhi.
yeah,
And I didn't give anybody a choice. I just came here and I said, I'm not going to move. don't give me any money, don't give me anything. I just want this place, this roof over my head. When I came out, it was very, very challenging. Everything in life was challenging. My ex-husband was a lawyer. He would stand outside my door, downstairs, park his car outside my house and tell me, if you don't come back to me, I'll throw acid on your face. You come back. I went to Delhi police then. I went to Nanakpura Thana at the Crime Against Women cell, and they helped me get my children. I did not have the capacity to fight in court. I had to concentrate on my child. I had to, look after money, other issues. It was difficult. So there was no way that I would have fought in court, and especially a lawyer. So I went to the Crime Women cell, and thanks to them, I got my children. That gave me the hope to go on. As time went on, I kind of gained a little bit, I wouldn't say stability, because I don't think my life has ever been stable. Even now, I think everyone's life is a struggle. But stability is something, I found a little bit of ground underneath my feet. And in 2006, 3 big things happened. My first book got launched, which is the one I read from, which is Woman of the Elements. I got a lot of accolades from that. The Domestic Violence Act came into being in 2006. It was implemented, right? It came into being in 2005 and it was implemented in 2006. And I had a neighbor who was going through a similar situation. And I used to help her. I would go to court with her. She got the custody of her child, and she, left and she started life again. These 3 things that happened in 2006 actually determined my path for me, because I realized that these are the 3 things that I have come to this earth to do, So that then slowly, my path got more charted out. I started writing more books. I started helping more women. And as I gained a name, the Delhi police then invited me to sit at the Crime Against Women cell. And then I just never looked back after that. So that was how the initial starting. But I know the agony of not having anything, which is why I'm always so grateful for every small thing that I have now. I teach my children, we don't have big cars, we don't have big house, we don't have 1,000 things that other people do. But understand that from our history and our learning and the respect we have received, the ability to hold our head high through all the trials and tribulations, these are things that very few people have with them, and we are blessed for that. So never forget that gratitude of what we have, So this is what I always do teach them.
Ma'am, I have a personal question actually.
Always.
From Madhurima, ma'am. Like, common notion hai, like if a girl does not speak, so like I was working with an NGO which works for the education of underserved communities, especially girls. So while I was like giving them, I was playing with all the girls, and one of the girls asked me this question, and which is not, I could not answer it properly, and I regret it till now. She told me कि मैम मैं स्कूल से आ रही थी and 2-3 लड़कों ने पीछे से सीटी मारी and मुझे क्या करना चाहिए था? So I said, beta, just ignore, like they don't deserve your time, just go from there. And then she retorted back, पर मैम ये तो गलत है, उसको ये नहीं करना चाहिए था. And मुझे मम्मी ने भी यही बात बोली कि बेटा इन सब लोगों को जाने दो, ये ना हो कि कल को वो और लड़कों को ले आए तो तुम कैसे लड़ोगी? So you should stay quiet. She was absolutely right. And I do not know what to answer, because, and then again she said, ma'am, I have a second question. अगर मैं जवाब देती, मैंने जवाब नहीं दिया तो मैं सीधी हूँ, अगर मैं जवाब दे देती तो मेरे गली के सारी फिर आंटियां बोलती कि लड़की बहुत तेज है. And that is so true. And so, at the same time, I don't know, like what should I have told her? So I just want to know from you all, what could I have done? What could she have done? What could anyone would have done to stop this?
you know, the worst thing that we teach our girls is adjust kar lo.
Right.
No,
Right.
the word adjust, I think it's a slap on the faces of our girls, right? But let me tell you that we live in a world which is so difficult right now. We're going through such difficult times that there is no one shoe fits all situations. You know, we have to it's very right to tell our daughters, for instance, wear what you want, go out what you want, speak your mind. But you also have to make a note of the environment around you. I mean, tomorrow, if it's very well to say, "Jo kapde man mein aaye pehen ke jao, jo karna hai karo." But I always, like I told my daughter is now 29, and I always tell her. In fact, she's getting married in November. I have to tell you that also. And she's got a wonderful person who's a lawyer, but a good one. Yes. So, but I always used to tell her this when she was growing up, because I never made her quiet and, like I was raised, answerable, quiet. I made her into a quiet fighter. But there is a lot to be said for wisdom and for the ability to suss out a situation in the mind before you become reactive to that situation. Your reactions have to be moderated by the situations that you look around you. The only thing is, when you look at those situations that is happening around you and you're trying to suss out your reaction, you have to understand that your mind should be very clear in the way you're looking at things. It should not come from a position of fear, but it should not come from a position of arrogance either. This is a very layered question that you've asked me, and there are many, many layers to this, as an answer. So that is it.
I was just as sir said, I was very perturbed because
Yes.
मैंने भी बचपन से सुना है because बोलते हैं तो ये लड़की लड़का की तरह बोलती है.
Isn't that nice? Yes.
I know. After growing up, I realized that it should be a compliment.
Yes. Yes.
When bachpan se in school also, most of the girls, like who were my seniors also, they used to start crying when a teacher used to call them a tomboy. Because at that time, if a teacher is calling you a tomboy, she's trying to say you are a mardana, which is
Yeah.
it's taken as a slang.
Yes.
Which is very.
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am, please.
You asked a very relevant question, and I think in most of the houses, maybe all houses, where there are girls and where there are daughters, their first reaction is just to ignore. You see, we cannot just change our systems. We have our different priorities. So this is a part of system, and अपने घर की बच्चियों को कि भाई अपने किनारे से चुपचाप से, but to an extent किसी भी चीज की अति अच्छी नहीं होती. माने if it becomes like अभी मैम ने बताया, जब चीजें अति हो गई, अति इस हद तक हो गई कि बेटा शांत हो गया, अब वहां पर नहीं कॉम्प्रोमाइज किया, खुद जब तक की शांति की बात थी वहां वापस भेजे गए, जितना सह सकते थे सह, कि शांति से जो चीजें चल रही चलने दो. बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू योर चिल्ड्रन, समबडी एल्स, किसी और को हो, बच्चों को हो, तो दर्द फिर तो बर्दाश्त नहीं है ना. कहते हैं ना, नारी की अगर हिम्मत जाननी हो, कहते हैं नारी शक्ति है तो अबला है, ये है, लेकिन उसकी हिम्मत जाननी हो. एक हफ्ते से खाना भी ना खाई हो, बहुत कमजोर, उसके बच्चे को हाथ लगा के देख लीजिए तो पता चल जाएगा कितनी शक्तिशाली. लेकिन ये सब चीजें होती है ना, तो वो उस तरह से करी जाती है कि उधर से रिएक्ट ना आए. जब आप रिएक्ट नहीं करेंगे तो वो वैसे ही फेलियर होंगे अपने आप से. तो जहां तक है, बच्चों को हम ये बताएं कि नहीं जाके तुम ये करो तो झापड़ मार के, और ये जस्ट बी अवे विद इट. सिस्टम नहीं बदल सकते, अब बदलना भी वो हमारी प्रायोरिटी नहीं है. तो इसका मतलब नहीं है कि कोई डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस से, बाहर का वायलेंस से दे टेक इट फॉर ग्रांटेड. जरूरत पड़ेगी जब खड़े होंगे तो फिर सब बदल भी डालेंगे, लेकिन जब तक ना हो तब तक ये भैया चुपचाप से शांति से निकल आओ एंड डोंट बी अ पार्ट ऑफ इट. जितना हम रिएक्ट करेंगे उतने वो सफल होंगे. जस्ट इग्नोर, जस्ट गेट आउट ऑफ इट.
But I would also say that, there are times, and I always teach my children one thing, which is that it's not what you are saying, it's how you are saying it. So raise your voice, but may know the tone in which you are raising your voice. Never keep quiet about something which is an injustice, either to yourself. Sometimes I wonder, the 10 years that I stayed in such a violent marriage, I should have spoken out. I should have spoken at least to family or people or friends or people who could have been my support systems. So to make changes, we cannot also keep silent all the time. I bore the brunt of that silence. I think it's it's a progress that we all have to go through. But in your own way, raise your voice. In your own way, stand for what is truth and right. I think there was a Dr. Rohini Yadav who was.
सर मैं अभी फोन करूं सर, मैं स्टैटिस्टिक्स डिपार्टमेंट में हूं सर, मिशन शक्ति प्रोग्राम में, बस खत्म करके अभी आपको कॉल कर रही हूं सर.
Okay.
So there was Dr. Yadav, I think, who raised a hand.
Yes, ma'am. Namaskar, ma'am.
Namaskar.
In fact, I should say that Namaskar to Nari Shakti. Ma'am, your story is such a very horrible story, but we can see your struggle and your stand towards your children that you have taken for the sake of their life. This is such a motivational for all of us, because every time the women tolerate each and everything, but when the question arises for their children or her child, then she should take some stand for the safety of their children, what you have taken. So this thing inspired to all of us that we have to collect our energy, which becomes a Shakti. Thank you so much, ma'am, such a wonderful, inspirational for all of us, because that means especially for the female. I know that male is also the equal participants, but we women, we females have to should know that how to face a situation, just like Meghna asked to you that हमें इस situation में क्या जवाब देना चाहिए, क्या करना चाहिए, because every girl, whether she is a small or a teenager, every situation में वो ये चीज face करती हैं. बट हमें हमेशा ये सिखाया जाता है, ठीक है, जहां शांत होने से काम चले वहां शांत रह जाओ, otherwise you have to take some action. But this is still a big question mark upon that question.
Yes, it is. Okay, one of the things. Thank you. One of the things that I realized also that and that was also partly because of going to the villages and looking at the women over there. I survived because I'm not as educated as all of you are. I'm only a graduate, right? So, but I realized the importance of education. I could survive still because I was a graduate. I had that very basic, I was in advertising. I survived monetarily by freelancing in advertising when I came out of my marriage. And then, of course, I went into books and other things that I did. So education is such an important factor. So one of the things that I do now is educate children also from my trust. So I've just started it, and I've only got 9 children just now, but 2 children who lost both parents in COVID, one little girl who is 65% handicapped. So I have a whole list of children who are there. And I just hope I can do much, much more, because I feel that once we educate our children and make them financially, whether it's boys or girls, I have a mixture of boys and girls. I don't believe that one should ever gain over the other. That's another thing I learned in my journey. Yes, we have to understand that we are Shakti. But another thing I learned is that there is a secret to things, and that is the balance of the male and female that exists in this world. I don't believe that we should take away the rights of one to give to the other. I have a boy and a girl. I would hate for it if the rights of my son were taken away to give to my daughter, or vice versa. It shouldn't be like that. In our when we talk about Shakti, then we have a Shiv as well, right? And the secret of the two is a god that we pray to called Ardnarishwar, which is the equal Shiv and equal Shakti and the joining together. So I always taught my children that, believe in relationships, believe in love. I know what it is for my children to have grown up without a father or without a father figure. It's devastating for a child. It is important to have a father figure that boys can look up to, that a girl can have, to look up to. So we must understand that if we want to bring this world to balance, it's not about taking away the rights of one to give to the other, to take away the rights of the other to give to the one. All our children are very, very precious. And we need to make this a balanced world for our future generations. Whatever we put into this world, I think we have to do very selfishly with this idea in mind that we have to leave this world a better, a happier, and a more positive world than it is today. We messed up this world. We can't leave it like this.
Anyone else from the participants?
You faced 3 phases of your life. Means before marriage, then the duration of your marriage, whatever you faced, and right now, we are seeing you just like a big writer and such a smiling face after facing all these situations.
Thank
This
you.
is called a Shakti.
No, I think it's just that when we have a purpose and we are awakened to that purpose in life, I think the universe sends out everything to make you happy and bring you on your journey, to take you onward onto your journey. I always say that I didn't fight this alone. I had so many hands. Whenever I reached out for help, that help came. If I needed anything from somewhere unexpected, yes, I didn't get help from those who were expected to help me, But this universe has amazing people in it. And so many people have been there. We don't walk alone.
Yes, definitely.
Participants, anyone? You can unmute yourselves. It has been allowed. If someone wants to ask anything. Okay, then. So I hope with this discussion that we have, I am confident, in fact, that we will build a healthier, safer, and fairer world in the days to come. I would now like to invite Dr. Shambhavi Mishra, ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of Statistics, to present the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, Meghna. So a very good evening to all of you who are with us in this event. First of all, I would like to congratulate our esteemed speaker, Rashmi Anand ma'am. This is consecutively for the second time, ma'am, and we are really honored to have you with us today. And I would like to say here that, you Meghna also introduced, and you also said that there's a book that you've written, Woman of Elements. I think you yourself are a woman of element. I think all of us who are here would agree to this. The way your entire life's journey, I think this is the second time, and each time we listen to your journey, we all have goosebumps, and it's an inspiration. I think all the girls, the youth who are with us today, we are highly inspired by your, just by looking at you, we get inspiration. Forget about what all you speak, and that's a secondary thing. The way you have carried yourself throughout is in itself an inspiration. And You very rightly said that, like the question that Meghna asked, you very rightly said that there are many layers attached. I think to each and every woman's life, there are many layers attached. And it is how each and every one of us, we all are fighters in ourselves. We have different sort of battles that we all fight. It's just that some of us, some of ours battle, it gets highlighted, and then it gets even more highlighted, and then the entire world knows. But I think being a woman itself is a battle that we all fight, and each day we fight. So I think we all should be proud of the fact that God has chosen us to be a woman, and we should appreciate this fact. So and maybe that's the reason why the world is now lacking to appreciate this fact that we all are women. Maybe that is why we these kind of Mission Shakti events and these kind of programs are being organized. And for that, I would like to congratulate Madhurima Lal ma'am, the coordinator of Mission Shakti in University of Lucknow. As she said, that mission is time bound, and that is what she is doing. This is, I guess, the fourth phase of Mission Shakti that we are having. And ma'am is again, she's so swift with conducting all these kind of events, that each time she does it, and she does it with full grace, and involves each and every one in the department. So a special congratulations to you, ma'am, for taking this up very, very nicely. Then I would also like to thank the head of the department, Professor Rajiv Pandey sir, for giving ma'am, Rashmi Anand ma'am, this opportunity to again interact with all of us. I would like to thank the faculty members of the department who have joined us today, all the faculty members of the department, the research scholars, and young students. Though we were expecting some students to interact with ma'am, they do have lot of queries and lot of questions. It's just that they are hesitant. When they got to know that you are joining us again, they were very, very excited, and they all had in their mind. But it's just that they are right now, they are a little hesitant. But no issues. If they have some points, we will make sure that we communicate it to you, so that you can guide them, and you can come up with some solutions. So thank you to all of you for giving your time to this event. And I guess so Meghna, yes ma'am, please.
So can I read the preface of the book? Just as a last thought, I should have thought of this earlier. Can I just do that?
Sure, ma'am.
Yes, we can end off with that. Is that okay? So it says, I come from the land of Durga, Kali, Lakshmi, and Saraswati. I am each one of them. I come from the land of Kannagi and Gandhari, Ahalyabai Holkar, Lakshmi Bai, Sarojini Naidu. I am each one of them, no more, no less. For years, I forgot who I was. I was repressed, suppressed. I was subjected to violence, harassed, violated in every way, subjugated by every way of emotional, mental, and physical torture. But in every life, at some point, comes an awakening when one says enough, no more. I walked out of a miserable, constricting, violent world into my own. I now hold my head high. I live as I want. I live with truth, courage of conviction. Every moment shines on me. I have power. I am power. Never again will I forget who I am, what I am. Never again will I forget the power that is me. Never should any woman forget. And thanks to Madhurima ma'am and Professor Pandey for, keeping this Mission Shakti alive in us. So,
thank you so much, ma'am. Meghna, I guess we can close this session. We can. Do we need to have some concluding remarks from sir as well?
No. I think Professor Madhurima would like to say some concluding remark. Is there any oath or some type of concept as last time we did? Professor Madhurma.
No, sir. There's this time in the charter, it is not mentioned.
Okay.
Only on
Okay.
15th August, I have to go for a oath as such on the regular basis. Initially, it was for all this thing,
Yeah.
but this time it is on only on one day. Otherwise, if anybody is interested, then it is different thing. But there's no such essentialities.
So should we conclude this program?
I don't know where the voice has gone, so I have to each time I have to put it in my ear to listen. So that is why I'm putting the phone or the video off.